Hey warriors, look around you. The modern world has created a new kind of slavery, mental slavery. People scroll endlessly, switching from one thought to another, unable to focus for even 5 minutes without their minds trembling for stimulation. Their attention is divided, their energy scattered, and their thoughts controlled by what everyone else is saying. You can see it in their eyes, a fog, a dullness, a quiet chaos. They don't think, they just react. And that, my friend, is how power is lost. Your mind isn't weak because you're lazy. It's weak because it's full of noise. Noise from opinions, noise from gossip, noise from endless notifications that demand your attention every 5 seconds. You are not tired. You are overloaded. You are not unmotivated. You are unfocused. And in that confusion, your potential quietly bleeds away. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He observed that the most dangerous man is not the strongest or the richest, but the one who thinks clearly. He said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." The difference between the wise and the foolish is clarity, the ability to cut through the noise and see what truly matters. The sharper your mind becomes, the more control you have over your life, your decisions, your destiny. Imagine a blade. A dull blade bends, cracks, and fails when it meets resistance. But a sharp blade cuts through anything with precision and grace. Your mind is that blade. Every distraction dulls it. Every act of focus sharpens it. The question is, how sharp can you make it? Today, you're not just going to learn how to think better. You're going to learn how to think differently. How to use dark psychology to harden your focus, eliminate mental weakness, and rise above the ordinary noise of this world. You'll see what Machiavelli saw, that the true game of power begins inside the mind, in silence, in control, in thought. By the end of this video, you won't just understand how to focus, you'll become focus itself, calm, cold, deliberate. Because once you master your mind, no one can manipulate you, confuse you, or distract you. You'll see through illusions. You'll predict moves before they happen. You'll become a silent strategist in a world full of noise. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My mind is my weapon. Number 1, the real power of focus. Focus is not motivation. It is control in its purest form. The ordinary mind drifts from one impulse to another, reacting, scrolling, chasing stimulation it doesn't even understand. Attention becomes fragmented, fragile, easy to manipulate. But a disciplined mind doesn't move with noise, it moves with intention. Every second of focus is a declaration of dominance over confusion. The truth is simple: the sharper the focus, the stronger the mind. Machiavelli once said, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." The same law governs thought. A weak mind serves distraction. A powerful one commands attention like a silent ruler over chaos. Distraction doesn't destroy people all at once. It erodes them slowly, moment by moment, until they lose the ability to think deeply. Most people confuse being busy with being effective. They rush through life, collecting unfinished thoughts, mistaking motion for progress. Yet real strength comes from stillness, from being able to direct mental energy toward a single purpose while the rest of the world chases noise. Focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters and cutting everything else without hesitation. Every scattered thought drains power. Every controlled thought builds it. Those who understand focus do not waste attention on trivial opinions or fleeting emotions. They operate from silence, not noise. Their calmness is unsettling because it reveals control in a world ruled by impulse. When others panic, they remain composed. When others talk endlessly, they observe. That composure is not weakness, it's intelligence in motion. Machiavelli warned, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see but few can feel." A person who moves with quiet certainty doesn't need to prove anything. Power is already visible in the way they hold their focus. True focus is built through subtraction, not addition. It grows when unnecessary stimulation is removed. The fewer distractions allowed into the mind, the sharper it becomes. The process is uncomfortable because silence exposes everything that was once hidden under noise, but clarity is born in that silence, and with clarity comes precision, patience, and control. Most minds are like open windows. Everything enters. But the mind that learns to close its doors to nonsense becomes unshakable. Focus transforms perception. When concentration deepens, decisions become faster and cleaner. Emotional chaos loses influence. Attention no longer bends under pressure. It moves only when chosen. That is the mark of a powerful mind, deliberate awareness. Such presence is rare and magnetic. People notice it. They respect it even if they can't explain why. Because in a world addicted to reaction, calm concentration feels like authority. Machiavelli believed that clarity creates command. The mind that knows exactly what it wants doesn't compete. It directs. Focused awareness shapes the environment, influences others, and builds silent respect without demand. It is invisible control, the kind that doesn't shout, but changes everything around it through quiet precision. A clear mind is not loud, but it is always felt. In the age of distraction, focus is the highest form of power. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Calm is control. Number 2. Subtractive thinking. Remove before you add. The modern mind worships addition. People try to learn more, read more, collect more information, chase more goals, and consume more content, believing this will make them wiser. Yet the mind grows sharper, not by accumulation, but by elimination. Clarity is not found in what is gained, but in what is removed. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." The fool keeps adding layers of complexity until his mind collapses under the weight. The wise one clears the unnecessary, revealing the structure of truth beneath. The secret to mental strength is not learning more, but removing what weakens understanding. Most confusion is self-inflicted. The mind fills with noise disguised as knowledge, opinions, trends, gossip, useless advice, endless notifications, and the emotional residue of other people's chaos. Every bit of it steals mental energy. The sharper thinker knows that every distraction tolerated becomes a small surrender. Subtractive thinking is the discipline of cutting before creating, clearing before building. It demands precision, removing false ideas, detaching from meaningless influences, and stripping away the unnecessary until only what matters remains. This process feels uncomfortable because the human mind fears emptiness, yet that emptiness is where true insight is born. Imagine the mind as a blade covered in dust. Every fragment of noise dulls its edge. The only way to restore sharpness is to clear away what does not belong. This is why powerful thinkers value solitude. It is not loneliness, but mental cleaning. In stillness, illusions fade. What remains is raw thought, unfiltered, strong, and direct. Subtractive thinking is not passive, it is ruthless. It cuts through sentiment, ego, and attachment. It questions everything until clarity emerges. Most people cannot do this because it means confronting the reality of their own mental clutter. Yet Machiavelli's wisdom was built on observation, not comfort. He saw that truth is often hidden beneath layers of self-deception. The removal process begins with awareness. Useless conversations, emotional entanglements, unnecessary comparisons. Each must be recognized and rejected. This form of mental discipline is rare because it demands strength to walk away from noise that others crave. Society glorifies addition because it feels productive. But real progress happens when the unnecessary is stripped away. Subtractive thinking is like clearing fog from a mirror. Suddenly, everything becomes visible. When the excess disappears, thought moves with precision. Decisions are made without confusion. Time is no longer wasted on irrelevant detail. Those who master this approach appear mysterious. They speak less, but say more. They act selectively, not constantly. People mistake their restraint for coldness, not realizing it is clarity. Machiavelli understood restraint as a form of control, knowing when not to move, when not to speak, when not to act. He once wrote, "There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others." Translated into thought, it means chaos cannot be avoided by running from it. It must be managed by removing what fuels it. When the mind is stripped of clutter, external chaos loses influence. Subtractive thinking turns intelligence into precision. The fewer distractions permitted, the sharper perception becomes. It is the discipline of simplicity, not emptiness, but concentrated awareness. Those who practice it move through life with quiet efficiency, unaffected by noise, clear about purpose. Nothing can confuse a mind that has learned to let go of the unnecessary. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Less is clarity. Number 3. Control your mind, control your life. Every form of external power begins with internal control. A person who cannot command the mind becomes a puppet of emotion, impulse, and circumstance. The illusion of balance makes people believe they can divide attention between comfort and power. But comfort weakens control. True strength is found in the discipline to govern thoughts, even when emotions demand chaos. Machiavelli once said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." The same logic applies inward. The men surrounding the mind are its thoughts. If those thoughts are weak, the ruler is weak. Mental control is the foundation of personal authority, and without it, every external achievement collapses. The modern mind is constantly pulled apart by external triggers. Fear manipulates decisions, anger destroys judgment, and anxiety steals presence. People mistake reaction for awareness. They are not thinking, they are responding. The one who learns to observe the mind from a distance, instead of drowning in its waves, begins to see patterns invisible to others. That separation between thought and self creates dominance. Emotions still appear, but they no longer dictate movement. Power lies in the ability to pause. In that pause, clarity speaks louder than impulse. The mind that obeys emotion becomes a servant. The mind that commands emotion becomes a ruler. Machiavelli warned that chaos often comes disguised as opportunity. He wrote, "Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times." The controlled mind does exactly that. It adapts without losing its core. When confronted with pressure, it adjusts, not panics. When challenged, it recalculates, not collapses. Every emotion becomes data, not disorder. Most people let feelings drive actions, and afterward they regret what was done. Those who practice control act after thought, never before. Their calmness under tension is not natural. It's trained through countless moments of restraint. The ability to remain unmoved while everything around shakes is the mark of true control. To master the mind means mastering attention, emotion, and time. Attention decides what is seen, emotion decides how it's felt, and time decides when it's acted upon. Together, they form the architecture of self-governance. Losing control over any of them leads to weakness. This is why powerful individuals rarely react publicly. They preserve energy by staying deliberate. The mind cannot be controlled through desire alone. It demands structure. Habits are that structure. Consistent self-observation builds predictability, and predictability breeds strength. The mind begins to follow command naturally, obeying the discipline it has been shaped by. Mental control also builds perception. When thoughts no longer run wild, awareness expands. Patterns in people's behavior become clear, manipulation becomes visible, and emotional traps lose effect. Those who control their inner world start influencing their outer one effortlessly. Authority grows in silence. The less control is visible, the more powerful it becomes. Machiavelli understood that visible emotion invites exploitation, while composure creates mystery. Mystery, in turn, creates influence. People fear what they cannot read, and a controlled mind is unreadable. Control of the mind is not coldness. It is refinement. It is the transformation of chaos into clarity, of reaction into command. The one who governs thought governs destiny. Every empire, every conquest, every revolution begins in the quiet discipline of an organized mind. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. Control creates power. Number 4, precision thinking. Precision thinking is the difference between movement and impact. Most people scatter their energy in 100 directions, achieving fragments of results and calling it progress. The sharper mind does the opposite. It identifies one clear objective and channels every ounce of focus into it until the outcome bends to its will. Machiavelli once wrote, "It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret." Precision is not hesitation. It is deliberate action executed with calculation, not emotion. Every great strategist understands that a single well-timed decision outweighs 1,000 impulsive efforts. The power of thinking lies not in speed, but in accuracy. A mind without precision is like a blade without an edge, full of potential but unable to cut through resistance. Precision begins with observation. It is the ability to see the hidden pattern behind chaos, to notice details others overlook, to connect events before they unfold. People who think loosely depend on luck. Those who think with accuracy create outcomes. Machiavellian psychology teaches that control is achieved not through force, but through understanding. When the mind can dissect motives, anticipate moves, and measure timing, it no longer competes. It dominates silently. The essence of precision is economy, saying less, moving less, deciding less, but doing each thing with flawless execution. Average minds are addicted to activity. Superior minds are addicted to results. The thinker trained in precision operates like a surgeon. One clean incision, no wasted motion. This discipline demands patience, because acting at the wrong moment destroys advantage. The impatient chase opportunities, the precise create them. Machiavelli believed the wise ruler adapts with the times, but never loses direction. The same rule governs thought. The precise thinker adapts to new information without abandoning clarity. Adaptation without loss of purpose is what separates mastery from confusion. Precision requires distance from emotion. When thought becomes entangled with personal feelings, judgment becomes clouded. The calm observer, detached from excitement or fear, sees what others miss. That detachment is not indifference but strategy. It transforms uncertainty into control. The world mistakes silence for hesitation, yet in truth, it is preparation. The collection of data before a decisive mental strike. The precise mind does not speak before understanding, does not move before calculating, does not commit before confirming. Such restraint gives the illusion of slowness, but when the move is made, it lands perfectly. Every error made by others becomes a map for the precise thinker. Failure is studied, not feared. Each misstep becomes an instruction manual for the next success. This method turns observation into a weapon. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." Precision embodies that principle, clear, measured, immediate. It cuts through confusion like a silent command. While others drown in options, the precise thinker sees only the target. Precision thinking also builds quiet authority. People trust the presence of those who never rush, who act with purpose and confidence. That calm focus exerts invisible power. It signals mastery. Nothing captures attention like the mind that moves only when necessary and never twice in the same place. Precision makes words rare but heavy, actions few but final. Such thought cannot be manipulated because it sees the entire pattern before others recognize the game. In a distracted world, precision is the ultimate intelligence. Not loud, not reactive, but exact. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Precision is power. Number 5. Emotional immunity. Stay unshaken. Emotional immunity is the silent armor of powerful minds. Most people collapse under the weight of their own feelings, allowing every word, rejection, or disappointment to dictate their mental state. They become easy to predict, easy to provoke, and easy to control. The moment emotion takes command, judgment disappears. Machiavelli once said, "The one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived." Emotionally reactive people are those who allow deception because they move from impulse rather than intelligence. Emotional immunity is not the absence of feeling, but the ability to remain steady while feelings burn beneath the surface. It is composure under internal pressure, silence amid provocation, and calm in moments that would destroy ordinary minds. A person without emotional control is like a house without walls. Every passing wind enters and rearranges what it wants. The disciplined mind builds invisible walls, not to block emotion, but to contain it. Anger, envy, fear, and doubt are not enemies, they are signals. They reveal weak points that must be reinforced. Emotional immunity begins with awareness, recognizing emotion without surrendering to it. This awareness transforms reaction into understanding. The one who feels anger but does not act on it gains knowledge of power dynamics. The one who senses fear but moves with logic gains mastery over instinct. Every time emotion rises and self-control holds, inner stability strengthens. Machiavelli believed that rulers should appear compassionate but remain rational beneath the mask. He wrote, "A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise." The lesson beneath that cynicism is not deceit, but adaptability. Emotion must never rule strategy. In modern life, those who remain centered when others lose control gain influence without resistance. When someone throws emotional fire, the calm individual becomes a mirror. The aggressor sees his own instability reflected back. This reverses control instantly. Emotional immunity is the ability to absorb chaos without reflecting it outward. It disarms manipulation because manipulation feeds on reaction. Every environment tests this discipline. Insults, betrayal, failure, misunderstanding. All are emotional traps designed by circumstance to weaken focus. The immune mind studies them like data, extracting patterns rather than pain. This perspective turns suffering into strategy. Emotional control is not coldness. It is clarity protected by composure. The more immune the mind becomes, the less external turmoil has power. Others wonder how calmness remains intact when tension rises, but that calmness is not natural. It is engineered through repeated restraint. Every silent response becomes a brick in the fortress of self-command. The emotionally immune individual sees through the theater of human behavior. When others shout, they listen. When others panic, they observe. That observation reveals motives, weaknesses, and truths hidden beneath emotion. It is not detachment born from indifference, but from awareness, knowing that energy spent on reaction is energy stolen from progress. Machiavelli would have called this invisible dominance, the art of appearing unaffected while quietly directing outcomes. Emotional immunity turns chaos into opportunity. It transforms pain into precision. It trains perception to remain stable regardless of external turbulence. Such stability creates mystery, and mystery creates respect. Those who cannot be shaken become untouchable. The world bends to those who do not bend to it. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. Calm never loses. Number 6. Sharpness builds respect. Sharpness is a language the world understands without words. In an age of noise and arrogance, the individual who moves with precision, restraint, and composure becomes impossible to ignore. People mistake respect for popularity, but true respect comes from silent authority, the aura of control that makes others sense discipline before any word is spoken. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." In today's world, that fear is not physical, it is psychological. It is the quiet discomfort others feel in the presence of someone who cannot be influenced, persuaded, or provoked. Sharpness radiates power without aggression. It communicates through behavior, not speech. The sharp mind doesn't chase validation. It creates its own standard, and that self-defined boundary forces others to rise or retreat. Every action is intentional, every response calculated, every silence deliberate. The world respects what it cannot predict. When emotions stay hidden and thoughts remain unreadable, people approach with caution and curiosity. Sharpness, then, becomes a form of dominance, not through force, but through self-control so precise that others feel it as strength. The more composed a person becomes, the more magnetic their presence grows. That magnetism is not charisma, it's mastery. It's the energy of someone who has tamed chaos within. Machiavelli taught that appearances shape power as much as actions. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." The sharp individual uses this truth strategically. Every movement is intentional, every expression measured. There is no need to explain or justify. The less revealed, the greater the impact. People respect restraint because it signals control. They respect silence because it implies confidence. They respect calm because it suggests dominance over emotion. Sharpness is the art of knowing when to act and when to remain still, of mastering the timing that governs perception. In a distracted society, calm precision stands out more than loud ambition. The sharp person doesn't interrupt others to be heard. They wait, observe, and strike with clarity when words carry maximum weight. That patience builds authority. Others start adjusting their tone, lowering their voice, and moderating their behavior in response to that energy. Respect becomes automatic. It's not demanded. It's earned through the consistency of self-discipline. People trust those who appear unshakable because they symbolize order in a chaotic world. That's why sharpness commands both admiration and caution. It makes people think twice before lying, manipulating, or disrespecting. Machiavelli believed influence required distance. Too much familiarity breeds contempt. The sharp mind maintains boundaries so well defined that others never forget them. Respect flows toward those who hold themselves to a higher standard. Sharpness doesn't seek approval. It enforces it through presence alone. In the end, the sharp become untouchable not by intimidation, but by excellence. Their focus, calmness, and restraint speak louder than any declaration of strength ever could. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Respect follows clarity. Number 7. Learn from mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. They are the fingerprints of progress. Every error, every miscalculation, every regret is a coded message from reality, exposing what pride tried to hide. The weak run from their mistakes because they confuse pain with punishment. But the strong dissect them because they know pain is instruction. Machiavelli once wrote, "A wise man does at once what a fool does at last." The difference lies in recognition, the ability to face a mistake immediately, extract its lesson, and transform it into strategy before it festers into weakness. The world punishes those who repeat the same errors because it sees them as unfit to lead themselves. Learning from mistakes is not about guilt, it's about adaptation. A person who studies their own missteps becomes more dangerous than any who avoid risk. Failure sharpens judgment in ways comfort never can. Each wrong decision exposes a hidden blind spot, revealing how emotions, impulses, or ego-clouded logic. The wise use those moments to reconstruct their mental architecture. They don't seek pity. They analyze patterns, ask why it happened, and then rewire their behavior until the same situation cannot trap them twice. That process builds quiet intelligence, the kind that doesn't come from books or teachers, but from surviving consequences. Every scar becomes a strategic memory, each disappointment a silent tutor. Machiavelli believed that misfortune is not an enemy, but a mentor. He said, "Fortune shows her power where valor has not prepared to resist her." Mistakes expose where preparation was missing. When understood correctly, they guide the mind toward anticipation. The one who studies their failures no longer fears uncertainty because they have seen their own limits and conquered them. While others hide behind excuses, the self-aware individual learns to predict danger before it arrives. That foresight is a form of dominance. It allows one to move through life not as a victim of chance, but as an architect of outcomes. Mistakes lose their sting once they become lessons, and lessons turn into immunity against repetition. The dangerous part of learning from mistakes is that it requires ego death. One must accept personal responsibility without resentment. Most people prefer to blame circumstances because accountability demands internal reconstruction. But Machiavellian wisdom teaches that power only grows where delusion dies. The ruler who cannot admit a fault loses credibility. The man who cannot face his own error becomes predictable. True intelligence is self-correction in motion. Those who learn from mistakes evolve faster because they convert pain into power instead of paralysis. Over time, this adaptability turns them into something unbreakable, not because they never fail, but because they no longer fear failure at all. Machiavelli saw that the foundation of resilience lies in self-education through pain. The mistake is never the problem. The refusal to learn from it is. A person who studies their downfall learns to control its repetition, and that control is the essence of strength. The one who never denies their mistakes becomes immune to manipulation, because no one can use their past against them once they've already turned it into wisdom. The world worships noise, endless opinions, shallow emotions, and meaningless motion disguised as progress. But those who sharpen their minds move in silence. They do not chase distractions, they remove them. They don't seek validation, they build clarity. Every moment of focus becomes an act of dominance in a society addicted to confusion. Machiavelli once wrote, "Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack. Then they attack others." The sharpened mind follows the